Hello and welcome to the Cyclone Insider post-game show. He's Eugene. I'm Travis. We work for the Des Moines Register. We are at Trice Stadium where Iowa State won its second straight game, 38-14 over rival Kansas. This felt like an old school Kansas beatdown for Iowa State. The inept Kansas days of yesteryear. Iowa State dominated from start to finish. I mean, I think Kansas had something to do with that, but Iowa State, like, this looked as close as they've been to those first 5 games as we have seen, since that Arizona game, Eugene. Like last week or 2 weeks ago at TCU was obviously a huge win to stop that 4-game losing streak, but Iowa State, specifically offense, didn't play particularly well. Today they did. Like Rocco Becht was great. Carson Hansen was great. Abu Sama was really good. Aiden Flora scored another touchdown. The receivers, I don't think, had a drop unless it came after the game was already decided and I stopped paying attention. But otherwise, great performance from Iowa State today. And, I don't know that this is the team that started off 5-0 and looked like a team destined for Arlington and potentially the college football playoff. But this was a good football team today, and I think that's the first time we can say that. It's the first time we've been able to say that for a while.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago when they beat TCU, it was a gutsy win. You give Aiden Flora his flowers. You give the team, the defense, flowers for pulling whatever they needed to do to get that come from behind win. But I felt like I came away from that with more questions and concerns than I did answers. And now 2 weeks later, between how was Rocco Becht going to look, how was the offense going to look, it was just total domination in all 3 phases of the game. There was no big punt or kick return touchdown this time, but just offense, run was clicking as it continues to do so. Passing game was back. Defense played well, and special teams, no real hiccups there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, let's start with Rocco because that's really all we've been talking about for the last month. 18-23, 241 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And I thought he was the beneficiary today of what we heard from Taylor Mauser on Tuesday of simplifying things. Like Iowa State, this felt like a very, I don't know if conservative is the right word, but very straightforward game plan. They were going to establish the run because Kansas can't stop anybody, and they were going to execute high percentage plays in the passing game and rely on Rocco making good decisions and not having to push the ball downfield or press the action. And I thought that was the perfect game plan mentality to come into this game with, and they executed it superbly. And I mean, it does. We're talking about Rocco. We need to talk more about Rocco, but I do think it starts with the running game. Like that made everything easier today for Iowa State. But that looked like today a more confident, composed, and relaxed Rocco Becht than I think we'd seen since maybe Colorado or even Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'd say right around there, probably. Or BYU pre-3 interceptions. Like, he looked good for the first 5-10 minutes of that game. But, yeah, I would say that the running game, I mean, right off the bat, getting big gains off the jump there, and then that opened up play action and some of these other routes. But straightforward stuff. Nothing too crazy in the beginning. You saw a lot of shallow routes. You saw some swing passes and things like that. And then as the game went on, you saw Rocco Becht get more confident, or just kind of receivers too. 4th and 1, instead of scrambling maybe for a first down, he heaves a 20-yard pass to Brett Eskelson, who reels it in the end zone. So you just saw them open it up as the game went on, and they just kind of rode the wave and rode the flow of how things were going.
Yeah, I thought Rocco looked healthy. Like the passes weren't sailing. They were on target for the most part. Had a couple batted down, but that is going to happen and has happened with him. But like to me, the biggest thing was the 18-23. After seeing the accuracy just absolutely crater the last 2 games, where he was at 40%, I think, combined the last 2 games. So to see him put the ball on time, on target was huge. And again, Campbell talks, forever about complementary football, situational football. And Iowa State did that today again, as well as they have done since the Arizona game. I mean, the way that they were able to convert on 3rd down, the way they were able to convert on 4th down was huge. I mean, they're a couple 4th down conversions away from this game not being the blowout it ultimately became. And I don't think that's a fluky thing. I think that's Iowa State executing at a high level at the most important moments.
Yeah, and in the red zone too. I mean, of all the difficulties that they had and over that 4-game losing streak, and even against TCU, they go 4 for 5, and the one miss that they had in the red zone was because they were forced to go for it on 4th down with strong winds blowing against Kyle Conradi. So just an efficient game all around. And for Rocco Beck, that 18 of 23 was the highest completion percentage he's had against an FBS opponent this year. So another nice nugget to add to the list.
Yeah, and then the defense was lights out. Kansas scores on back-to-back drives in the third quarter, but on either side of that, elite defensive performance. Jalen Daniels, 13 of 23, 154 yards. Daniel Highshaw, 50 yards on 8 carries, but like they were playing behind the whole game, so they really had to throw the ball. And Iowa State, again, with a decimated secondary, steps up. Still not seeing much from that defensive line in terms of pressuring the quarterback, but the secondary did really well today, I thought.
Yeah, Marcus Neal too, having the clutch pick in the end zone to help kind of preserve that. But yeah, Jalen Daniels just didn't really seem like a big factor at all. I mean, only threw for 154 yards, no touchdown passes, barely did much damage on the ground either. So defense, props to them. I mean, it all started with Jalen Daniels, and they did a good job of containing him.
Now, I do not cover Kansas. I don't watch every snap of Kansas this season, but I do think watching that game today, that looked and felt like a team not particularly interested in playing football and not particularly interested in closing out a season on a high note. And I say that to say Iowa State could have been in that position, right? They could have been where like you're playing out the string here. And that is absolutely not the case. They get the win last week at TCU. They win again today. They're going to be playing Oklahoma State on the road next week, to where, and Campbell brought it up in his post-game press conference, they've got a chance to go out and win 9 games this year, which is a testament to their ability to absorb that 4-game losing streak and continue to be bought in and invested on what was going to happen the rest of the year. And that sounds like a small thing. And I don't know that like we need to hurt our hand patting them on the back repeatedly for playing hard, but like there is another side there, right? Like, and you saw it from Kansas. Like, do you want to watch a team put that kind of effort and performance out on the field the last 2 or 3 games of the year? Or do you want to see what Iowa State did against TCU, what they did today against Kansas, and presumably what they're going to be able to do, at least from an attitude and effort standpoint, next week at Oklahoma State? So again, like, that's not a consolation prize for not going to Arlington or being able to play for a spot in the college football playoff in November, but it's something. And I do think it's worth noting. So like that's a much more miserable fan experience if you are just like limping to the finish line or crawling to the finish line rather than running through the tape. And I do think, credit to Matt Campbell and certainly credit to that locker room for seeing this thing through, because man, like it ain't pretty if you're not. And like there is something to say for that. And like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, Eugene, like remember those worst case scenarios, losing out after 5-0 and missing a bowl game, and everybody's pissed and nobody's happy and everybody wants to kill each other. And instead you're getting, like, we heard Rocco talk about it today. I think we heard Mauser talk about it on Tuesday. Like, is this the, push forward into spring and into next fall? And like, we'll see on all that stuff. But again, like the 4-game losing streak happened. There was nothing they could do about that. Once it had already happened, they had to choose how to respond to that. And I think, again, you saw 2 sides of a coin there today for teams having, disappointing seasons, or at least disappointing stretches within the season.
Yeah, like we talked about before with the worst case scenarios, they had many reasons to check out. They had many reasons to just kind of mail it in. But for me, just going into this game, when we previewed the game, we both thought Iowa State was going to win. I personally thought they were going to win. I did not expect this kind of beatdown where it was just such a complete performance, where it felt like they were able to diagnose and fix a lot of their problems. And granted, there are still some issues, but just to have such a conclusive, decisive result, build a 17-0 lead at half, and then just continue to punch them or beat them down all throughout the 4 quarters, that was not the response that I was expecting. I thought maybe, they'd play hard, they'd get a win, but to have something as lopsided as this was today, that was pretty impressive on that part.
Yeah, and like we talked about it after they beat Kansas State and Ireland to begin the year. And I think it's true to a lesser degree, but still true to Kansas, is like Kansas and Iowa State are kind of operating for that same space and real estate within the Big 12 with their similar institutions, similar traditions, and similar resources, to where like you keep them down and you put yourself up. Like, again, not nothing. Like, you think they're having a lot of fun in Lawrence right now? Like Lance Leipold, like that team, like for all the good vibes that started at the beginning of his tenure, all the renovations at Booth Memorial, like that should be a program that people are getting excited about and are moving forward. And instead you're getting, what we saw today and what, Kansas fans have seen throughout the season. So again, like there's layers to these things. Like keeping your rivals down is just as sweet as keeping yourself up.
And that's just the name of the game. The name of the game.
It's cutthroat. It's winner take all out here. Iowa State 38, Kansas 14. Cyclones go to Stillwater next week. As of right now, Oklahoma State does not have a Big 12 victory this season. Last I saw, they were winning over UCF, but that was still in the first half. So we will see if the Cowboys are looking for their first win in their last chance next week against Iowa State. But the Cyclones have a chance to win their 8th game of the year, help themselves have a chance to get that 9th win in a bowl game. So they're still playing football in Ames, Iowa, at least for a few more weeks. And today was a good one. Again, Iowa State 38, Kansas 14. He's Eugene Rapay. I am Travis Hines. We work for the Des Moines Register. Please go to DesMoinesRegister.com to see everything that we wrote and said today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.